So yesterday we talked mainly about 2.7 and 2.8. How this is going to work is I'm going to put a question up on the screen. I would like you to try it, and then we will go over it. Go ahead and try this question, please. X plus 1 divided by 5 equals -3. So you'll definitely have a question like this on your quiz tomorrow. Remember that anytime that there's an operation in the numerator, there's really an invisible set of parentheses around that x plus 1. So you want to get rid of the divided by 5 first. We get rid of the divided by 5 by doing times 5 and times 5. Bring down your x plus 1, bring down your equal sign. -3 times 5 is -15. Now you just have a one-step equation, -1, -1. So you get x equals -16. Again, you will have a question like this on your quiz tomorrow. The next type of questions came from 2.7, where you have to do this order. All right, you have to do the distributive property first, then combining like terms, then variables on both sides. So go ahead and try this question, please. 3 times x plus 3 plus 2x equals 19. Try this one, please. So again, when you have these longer equations, you have to follow this order: distributive property, then combining like terms, then variables on both sides. Sometimes you'll have all 3 of them, sometimes you'll just have 2 of them, but you have to go in that order. So with the distributive property, you're looking for parentheses. 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 3 is 9. Bring down everything else that we didn't use yet. So bring down your plus 2x, bring down your equal sign, bring down your 19. We're done with the distributive property. Now you're looking for combining like terms. This is where we have letters or just plain numbers on the same side of the equal sign. We have a 3x and a 2x on the same side of the equal sign, so we can add together our like terms. Bring down our plus 9, bring down our equals 19. Do we have variables on both sides? Do I have a letter on one side and a letter on the other side? No, I don't have variables on both sides this time. All that I have left is a 2-step equation. So I'm going to do -9 and -9. So I have 5x equals 10. Divide by 5, divide by 5. That's just a 1-step equation now. And you should have got an answer of x equals 2. So you're going to have like 4 of these type of questions on tomorrow's quiz. All right. The next type of question that you're going to have on your quiz is when it's one, no, or infinite solutions. So remember, it's one solution if it's x equals a number. Doesn't matter what number it is. If you get x equals a number, that's one solution. No solution is when all of the numbers cancel out and you're left with, all of the letters cancel out and you're left with 2 different numbers on each side of the equal sign. 2 does not equal 3, so there is no solution. Again, all of your letters will cancel out. You'll just be left with 2 different numbers. Infinite solutions, there's 3 different things that could happen. You could end up with 2 equals 2, all the letters canceling out, and just left with the same number on both sides. You might have all the numbers cancel out, and you might just be left with something like 3x equals 3x, the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. Or you might get this 2-step equation type looking problem where you have 4x plus 1 equals 4x plus 1. So when you have the same thing left on both sides, it is infinite. When you have different things on both sides, it's no. When you have x equals a number, that's when it's one solution. Go ahead and try this one, please. Again, you have to follow those steps. You have to do the distributive property first, then combining like terms, then variables on both sides. So in this one, you would have to do the distributive property first. I'm going to take that 3 and multiply by 2.5x, which gives me 7.5x. Take that 3 and multiply by 2, which is 6. Bring down everything else that we didn't use yet. Next thing that we want to do is combining like terms. I don't have letters on the same side of the equal sign. I don't have plain numbers on the same side of the equal sign. Don't have combining like terms. So I'm going to go right into variables on both sides. I have a 7.5x on one side and a 7.5x on the other side. Since it's positive, I need to subtract it from both sides. So those cancel out and those cancel out. All that I'm left with is negative 10 equals 6. Negative 10 does not equal 6. It doesn't make any sense. Therefore, there is no solution. So that was from 2-8. You're going to have, I think there's 4 different questions on one, no, or infinite solutions on your quiz tomorrow. Your next series of questions, which there's 8 questions, are word problems, all right? You are going to have to set up the equation. It's going to be multiple choice on your quiz tomorrow, and then you're going to have to solve that equation in the next question. So when you're picking your equations, you have to think, especially for one-step equations, you need to think the opposite operation to solve. If you take a look at the word problem and you want to subtract it to solve it, you need to set up a one-step adding equation. So we would set up an equation that looks like this, because when we actually go to solve it, you would do -5 and -5. So we're actually subtracting to solve there. If you want to add to solve it, you want to set up a one-step subtracting equation, because when you actually go to solve this, you would add by 6 to the 8. If you wanted to divide to solve it, you would want to set up a one-step multiplying equation like this one is, because when we go to solve it, you would divide by 4 and divide by 4. If we wanted to multiply to solve the equation, or to solve the problem rather, we would want to set up a one-step dividing equation like this one is, because when you actually go to solve it, you are multiplying. So let's take a look at one of these. Molly wants to buy a purse for $30.96 after tax. She gives the cashier $40. What is her change? So immediately when you see a word problem, you should be thinking in your head, do I need, if I was just going to solve this, do I need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide the two numbers? Well, if she gives the cashier $40 and she's buying it for $30.96, you want to know how much money she gets back. So you would really be subtracting to solve it. We really need to do 40 minus $30.96. Well, if you need to subtract to solve, we want to set up a one-step adding equation just like this. So we have x plus 5 equals 7. So we want to set up a one-step adding equation. So we're going to do x plus 3096 equals 40. Why am I doing that? Well, normally how how you would find your answer is to do 40 minus 3096, the cost of the purse, to get your change. Well, when we set up this equation, notice what happens. We do minus 3096 and minus 3096. This right here is exactly what we wanted to do to solve the word problem. So we get x equals 40 minus 3096 is 904. So on your quiz tomorrow, the first question will have 4 different choices of equations. You're going to have to choose the correct equation, and then the next problem, you're going to have to solve that word problem using your equation. Let's take a look at another one. It says DeShawn bought 9 candy bars for a total of $66.87. How much did each candy bar cost? Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. Set up the equation and solve it. So normally what you would do to solve this one would, you want to find the cost of 1 candy bar. So you would divide 66.87 divided by 9. Well, if we want to divide to solve, we need to set up a 1-step multiplying equation just like this. 4x equals 16. So when we would go to set up this one, we would have 9 candy bars times the cost of 1 candy bar equals 66.87. That would be the equation that we would need to set up, because the way that you solve this is to do 66.87 divided by 9. Well, when we go to solve this equation, that's exactly what happens here. 66.87 divided by 9, and that gives you $7.43. I don't know what kind of candy bar costs $7.43, but maybe it's a gigantic candy bar or something like that. So that's how we do that one. Take a look at the next one. At a restaurant, Jacob and his 5 friends decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $9.83, then what was the total bill? Now be careful. At a restaurant, Jacob and his 5 friends. How many people total is that? That is 6 total people that we're talking about, because we have Jacob and his 5 friends. So we're talking about 6 people total. They want to divide the bill evenly at the restaurant. Each person is paying $9.83. So how would you find the total bill? Would you add? Would you subtract? Would you multiply? Or would you divide? Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. So what you normally do is you would multiply. Each person is paying $9.83. There's 6 people total. You would have to multiply those 2 things together. Well, if you're multiplying to solve it, we need to set up a 1-step dividing equation like this one is. X divided by 4 equals 3. So we need to set that up. X divided by the 6 people equals 983. Because when we go to solve this, we would do times 6 and times 6. So we're multiplying the 2 things together, and we get a total of 5898. Now, this one actually has 2 different ways that you could solve it. Instead of doing x divided by 6, you could do the total bill divided by 983 equals 6. You would get the same answer in the end. This one has 2 ways to do it. So those were all one-step equations. The next kind of question is going to be two-step equations. Now, notice how two-step equations are written. You have a number times x or a number divided by x plus a number or minus a number equals a number. These two numbers at the end are normally your total, normally some sort of total in the end. All right. So we're either multiplying or dividing at the beginning, adding or subtracting, and then you have your total. So let's take a look at a question. It says Doug had $21 to spend on 7 raffle tickets. Again, a good strategy when you see the word 7 is to write the number 7. After buying them, he had $7 left. How much did each raffle ticket cost? So $21 was your total. So I'm going to set an equal 21 at the end. He's buying 7 raffle tickets, and after buying that, he had $7 left. We need some sort of equation that equals to the 21. So what is he spending and how much does he have left equals the 21. Well, 7 raffle tickets times the price of 1 raffle ticket. That's going to give you the amount that he spent on raffle tickets. But then it said he had $7 left. So the amount that he spent plus the $7 that he had left equals the $21 that he had to start off with. So this would be your equation. Solving the two-step equation, minus 7. So 7x equals 14. Divide by 7. Each raffle ticket ended up costing $2. Take a look at this next one. Doug he has $100 left from mowing lawns. He charged $15 per lawn. If he bought lunch for $5 from his lawn mowing money, how many lawns did he mow? Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. So he had $100 left. That is your total that he has left. How did he get to that $100? Well, he was charging $15 per lawn. So $15 times the number of lawns. He ate lunch for $5. That means he spent $5 of that money. So minus 5. So it was the amount of money he got from doing the lawns minus the $5 that he spent for lunch. He had $100 left. So this would be your equation. Plus 5 plus 5. So 15x equals 105. Divide by 15. You get that he mowed 7 lawns. Take a look at the next one. Jared bought a bag of chips for $2 and some sodas for his friends for $1.50 each. He spent $8 total. How many sodas did he buy? Go ahead and try this one, please. I, again, always like to start off with the total, all right? It's a total of $8. He bought a bag of chips for $2, and he bought some sodas for $1.50 each. That word each or the word per That means that we're multiplying. So $1.50x. That would be your equation. If you wrote it as 150x plus 2, that's the same thing. Go to solve it, minus 2 minus 2. So 150x equals 6. Divide by 150, divide by 150. And you get that x equals 4. So he bought 4 sodas total. Take a look at this one. A calf, which is a baby cow, a calf is born weighing 90 pounds. Each month, it will gain 65 pounds. How many months will it take for the animal to weigh 1,000 pounds? Go ahead and try this one, please. So the total that we're looking for is 1,000. So I'm going to put that 1,000 at the end. It's born weighing 90 pounds. So it starts off at 90 pounds. Each month, again, that word each month it's gaining 65 pounds. So 65 times the number of months. That would be the equation that we would set up. Minus 90 when you go to solve it. So 65x equals 910. Divide by 65, divide by 65. We get that it would take 14 months. So that was the last one. There's a couple things that I want to show you. All right. Your homework tonight is the Chapter 2 Quiz 2 review in Schoology. You can find that in today's folder in your math section. Tomorrow is your quiz. All right. There is no math Zoom tomorrow. All right. I'm taking the day off tomorrow. So there is no math Zoom tomorrow, but you need to do your quiz in Schoology. All right. If you have time to do both the quiz review and the quiz today, I made the quiz active already. All right. But you need to make sure that you do your quiz review and your quiz. Now, I want to show you something on the quiz and the quiz review. They look the same. All right. So if I go to today's folder in Schoology and I open up the review, I want to show you this is exactly how the homework and the quiz look. So your first 4 questions, you have 4 different equations that you need to solve. You put your answer in the answer boxes. The next 4 questions, they are the ones that are no, one, or infinite solutions. So solve the equation, and then you use the drop-down box to choose which one you think it is. All right, you use the drop-down box in each one to choose which one it is. Notice that there's 4 questions, so yes, you're going to use one more than once. The next series of questions, you have a word problem. You need to choose which equation you would use to solve it. Then you have that same question as the next question, but it's asking you to solve it. Now, remember, you can go back and forth, all right? You can click back and forth between them. I would write down whatever answer I pick here as the multiple choice so that you have an equation to solve for the next one, because the next question asks you to solve it. It's the same exact question, just asks you to solve it. And that's how the next series of questions goes, all right? There's a word problem. You have to pick the equation. The next one, same exact word problem, but it asks you to solve it. Asks you to pick out the equation and then solve it. Asks you to pick out the equation, solve it. Asks you to pick out the equation and solve it, all right? And then that's the end. So that's what your quiz and your homework look like.